Hey guys, Andrea Renee here. So this week's question is all about what video game do we remember beating for the very first time? Like specifically remember the ending. And I'm gonna be bad at answering this because I don't really remember beating a video game the first time, but the first video game I ever played was Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo Entertainment System. So I have to imagine that was the first game that I ever beat. And the ending of that game is pretty lackluster in terms of fanfare. They did a better job in the later Mario Brothers games of kind of making more of a fanfare at the end, but that's probably the first game that I ever really beat. But it's always a sense of satisfaction seeing credits roll on a game, and it's such a more interesting experience now, and as an adult having an appreciation for all of the names that roll in the credits versus when I was a kid and I really didn't care. But yeah, so that's the first game I remember beating.
I don't remember what the first game was that I finished, and it makes me so sad. I've thought about this and I've tried to think as hard about it as I possibly could, but nevertheless, the memory never floods into my brain, and I have not been able to remember what the first game I finished was. If I could put money on it, I would say it was Super Mario World, as that was the first game I ever played. And when I rack my brain to days of old, when I was 5, that's the game I have the most memories associated with. So I'd have to say it was that, but it makes me sad that I don't remember, because I feel like that's such a momentous occasion for a gamer to remember the first game they finished and how it made them feel. But alas, those memories are somewhere lost up in this brain, and maybe they'll surface one day. But until then.
So the first game I remember beating, because I'm sure that like most people, the first game I beat was Super Mario Brothers, but I don't distinctly remember beating that game. I just know that I have. I distinctly remember beating Bubsy, Claw's Encounter of the Furry Kind, which I still sometimes think of the puns in that game. Every level would start out with some ridiculously stupid phrase. I'm trying to think of one right now. Did I mention I'm afraid of heights? I think was one. Oh man, there's so many good ones, and I'm of course blanking on them. But that game was ridiculously hard, which is why I remember when we finally beat it, just feeling so accomplished in life, even though really we didn't do much. But back then was a different time, right? We had no money for other games, so you had to beat something before you could move on. Whereas now there's just so much, and I have access to so much of it, that it's much easier to just play something for a little bit and abandon it. Nostalgia.